Good morning, everyone. This is Brad from Tailwind. Thanks for joining us for this morning's webinar, Tailwind and QuickBooks Online. Today's presentation will take about 20 to 30 minutes, which should leave us lots of time for questions. So as questions do come to you, please send them through to us using the chat function. And if there are any that we can't get to, we'll be in touch with you after the webinar. We'll also be sending out a recording of this webinar to all of you following the event, so you don't need to be madly scribbling down notes. And as I know your time is limited, I won't take up too much more, and I'll just take a few seconds to introduce Tailwind and our partner and presenter, Kerry Smithies from MyQuickBookkeeping. Tailwind is a comprehensive transportation management system that helps you run your freight business efficiently and effectively. Our goal is to help those running trucking companies and freight brokerages improve their profit, increase their cash flow, and give them a bit more time at the end of their day, to help them feel the wind at their back. And today's presenter is Kerry Smithies from MyQuickBookkeeping. Originally from Australia, Kerry has lived in North America since the early 90s. While in Australia, she studied business and became an accountant. Kerry is a CPA, qualified in both Canada and Australia, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor in Canada and the US. And she even has a bit of trucking in her blood, as her father drove long-haul trucks across the Nullarbor Desert in Australia. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Kerry.
Hi everyone. It's a delight to be here today to introduce you to QuickBooks Online and the integration with Tailwind transportation software. I've been working with organizations of all shapes and sizes for over 20 years, and most enjoy working with small to medium businesses. Time and again, I've seen businesses get to the end of the year and not know if they've made a profit. They typically have challenges around managing resources, and cash flow is often an issue. Having accurate financial information can improve decision-making and reduce stress. With QuickBooks Online, you can have real-time information, and using the apps and connections reduce the amount of time required to keep everything up to date. Having seen the difference cloud computing solutions such as QuickBooks can make to small and medium businesses, I've switched my focus to onboarding and training so that businesses are empowered to take advantage of all the new systems that can be accessed online for a monthly fee without any costly implementation costs. There's not something for everyone, as I'm sure you're aware from your experience with Tailwind software. Today we're going to talk about how Tailwind can help you manage your admin and operations. I also have Jessie, Tailwind's operations manager, here to help me out if you have any specific questions on this. I'll then provide an overview of the ways in which QuickBooks Online can improve the management of your business's finances, and the piece you're really interested in, the integration between Tailwind and QuickBooks Online. I was amazed when I first linked QuickBooks to Tailwind. It was done in a blink. I was watching and I was ready to take notes so I could explain how it worked, and suddenly it was done and I completely missed it. It's one of the easiest integrations I've ever seen. Then we'll talk about how to ensure your QuickBooks file is properly set up to work seamlessly with Tailwind, and there'll be the option to sign up now and receive a fully set up file to begin working with immediately. As Brad mentioned, we'll leave some time for your questions, so type them in as we go, and if we can address them during the webinar, we will. Otherwise, afterwards in the Q&A. Now, if there's one thing I do know about trucking, it's that it's a very demanding industry. You're working long hours, there's a lot of competition, the margins are razor thin, and people and paperwork are just moving about all the time. Managing resources, including that big one, cash, is a constant juggle. How many of you can relate to this? My favorite thing to do with clients is to take the fear out of finances. There are tools you can utilize that will mean you're no longer dealing with piles of paper when your drivers return. And trying to track down missing toll, scale, and fuel receipts, lost receipts that prevent you from billing completely and accurately, and knowing exactly where you stand in terms of cash and profitability. At this point, Brad, I think you've got a quick poll for us.
I do indeed. So we do have the quick poll for the audience. Let's get that all set up. And basically, we want to find out, what is your biggest headache when it comes to managing your business finances? So if you could just select what you find to be the biggest issues that you're running into, we can share that afterwards. Watching some of the numbers roll in right now. definitely a strong winner at the moment. We just give a couple more seconds for people to make their final choice there.
I don't think that's going to change the answer, though.
And now we'll share that.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like the majority of you find all of these to be an issue, which is yeah, definitely some pain. Otherwise, it looks like yeah, managing cash flow, trying to keep everything sorted is also a bit of a struggle. So hopefully we might be able to address some of those pains in the rest of the presentation.
You can definitely help with that, trying to track down the information. Thanks, Brad. Now, if those in our audience have used Tailwind, you likely know how this system helps you manage all the transactions in your business. The orders placed, the invoices that have been sent and need to be sent, and receivables collected, as well as those still outstanding. The Tailwind system also connects all these transactions to the details of your orders and dispatches and gives you a quick and easy access to the information you need to run your business. It's all in one place exactly when you need it. Tailwind accommodates shifting business needs. You can easily add new users or new branches, with each person being able to access the information they need and are allowed to, wherever they may be located. You don't have to rely on an expensive server in one location. You actually don't require a server, and there are no expensive maintenance fees. Tailwind also accommodates shifting business models. It works for a trucking company, a freight brokerage, or even a business that does both, so a trucking company that also brokers loads, or a brokerage with assets. Now with QuickBooks Online, you can get complete control over the finances of your business. It picks up where Tailwind software leaves off. QuickBooks Online is best in class, the #1 accounting solution in the world, so you'll be in good hands. Using QuickBooks, you can import bank transactions. That's right, you can import them and either match them to entries already posted or post them directly. A huge time saver that makes reconciling your bank accounts a breeze. You'll have complete financial statements for your year-end, your bank, and most importantly, for yourself. You'll know throughout the year how your business is doing. There are also budgeting tools that will help you manage your business and your cash flow. This is the one that really excites me, actually. Any adjusting journal entries that you receive from your accountant can easily be posted, along with your amortization or depreciation on major assets. Your dashboard can be optimized so it doesn't look as scary as this one, and it shows you exactly what you want to see. QuickBooks can also manage your payroll, whether you're in Canada or the US, either providing you with the tools you need or taking care of everything for you, from depositing directly to your employees' accounts and filing taxes to preparing year-end reports. My personal favorite thing is the QuickBooks App. This is available to all subscribers at no extra cost and enables information to be scanned and posted to QuickBooks in real time. So those of you who are concerned about trying to track down information and paperwork, this could be the answer. This is what will save you the huge headache of shoeboxes and lost receipts. As Tailwind's Linda Clare says, you have limited control over what you can charge, but you can manage your expenses. If you capture them in real time, you know you have them. The app can be set up and trained so the amount of data entry required by the drivers is minimal, and you have a copy of the original document on file forever. And remember, everything is backed up in the cloud. There's no risk of losing data or functionality due to fire, flood, theft, or spilled drinks. The app also enables you to review results and reports wherever you are. If you're an owner-operator who needs access to financial information at the truck stop, it's all there. Now we'll briefly talk about how to link your Tailwind and QuickBooks systems. Before we begin the setup in Tailwind, we need to ensure that your chart of accounts is set up in QuickBooks, and we can see the account number that corresponds with each account. Once your accounts are set up, we need to associate each expense and revenue item used in the Tailwind system with its corresponding QuickBooks account. The GL code numbers on your expense and revenue items will let QuickBooks know where to assign related income and expenses when you sync your data across from Tailwind. It's therefore essential that these numbers are correctly assigned. The first time you go through the syncing process, you'll need to map your Tailwind accounts to the corresponding accounts in QuickBooks. Once everything is set up, you'll use the Sync toggle to select which items you want to sync to QuickBooks Online. Items will disappear from the list as they sync, and the corresponding data should now appear in QuickBooks Online. You can always access the detailed instructions and full video on the QuickBooks Online sync in the Tailwind support portal. And now we have another poll question for you.
Thanks again, Kerry. So in this last poll question, we want to find out how our audience is currently managing their business finances, and we'll set up a couple multiple choice questions people can choose from. So, are you using pen and paper and Excel? Or maybe you're using Tailwind to handle it all? Or maybe QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop? Or if you're using another software, you just check that last number there. If you are using another accounting program too, it would be great if you wouldn't mind typing that into the chat function there too, just to let us know what you are using. We'll give a couple more seconds for people to provide their responses. All right. So we look like there's one distinct winner, which is great. QuickBooks Online is already being used by a lot of you. That's fantastic. So it definitely can help with that. And for those that are using pen, paper, and Excel, there's definitely different things that we could do to be upgrading from there too. That should help make life a little bit easier. Thanks for letting us know which tools you currently use. And with that, I will be turning the presentation here back to Kerry.
One quick question, those of you who are on QuickBooks Online, I would love to know what your favorite thing is. If you want to type in what you love the most about QuickBooks Online, I always find that fascinating. Thanks, Brad, that was good. Now, while there are other tools out there, by using both Tailwind and QuickBooks, you have the benefit of a system that understands the intricacies of your business. From quoting and ordering to dispatch, handling driver settlements and taking care of compliance and tracking for regulators. And a fully mobile, robust accounting system to reconcile your bank accounts and manage your cash flow, prepare financial statements, and manage your payroll. My QuickBook Keeping and Tailwind have designed a chart of accounts that will work for your business and integrate with Tailwind. By using this chart of accounts, your file will be ready to integrate with your Tailwind account, and all you'll have to do is connect your bank accounts to QuickBooks. If you sign up for QuickBooks Online with My QuickBook Keeping, you'll receive this added bonus at no extra charge. You'll be on your way in no time. If you're already a Tailwind and QuickBooks subscriber and have an existing chart of accounts, you can reach out to the Tailwind support team. They can help you import it into QuickBooks Online and ensure it's set up to integrate easily. If you need assistance with QuickBooks or would like to know how it can help you, I'll be offering a free 20-minute consultation. And as a special offer for Tailwind customers for a limited time, my consulting rate will be reduced to $75 an hour, so I can assist you with any setup or training you might need. Also watch for future webinars and videos, and be sure to visit myquickbookkeeping.com and sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to some of your questions.
Thanks, Kerry. We have had a few questions come in, and it looks like people are starting to send more of them through now. So we'll get started. So first question is, how many users can I have on QuickBooks?
The QuickBooks Essential plan allows you to have up to 3 users at any one time, and the Plus plan allows up to 5 users.
Okay. And what are the costs of those plans, Kerry?
The Essentials plan is $35 a month, and the Plus plan is $50.
Okay. And another question was, what is the difference, or what are the main differences between QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop?
With QuickBooks Online, you can connect your bank accounts and import your transactions to keep up to date and reconcile your accounts. And I see, Jose, that's your favorite thing. That's one of mine as well. There are many purpose-built apps and services you can link to QuickBooks, like Tailwind, for example, that make things so much easier and more efficient. It's mobile. I love that it's mobile. You can just log in anywhere. And then the app for capturing receipts and what have you when you're running around. Another one is the backups in real time. There's no lost data if something happens to your hard drive or your laptop. And you can have more than one person working at the same time. Some of you on desktop probably have the experience where you have to do a backup file, save your backup file somewhere else, someone else opens it, sends it back, and you end up with all sorts of weird version control issues. And QuickBooks Online has a pretty good technical support line as well. So if you do have questions, that's somewhere that you can often get some assistance.
All right. Somebody is asking how is Tailwind Online compatible with QuickBooks Online? Actually, that's a great question for Jessie.
Yeah, and hi, I'm Jessie. I'm the operations manager here at Tailwind. And yes, it is, and that's part of why we're here today with Kerry, is because we have built a full integration with QuickBooks Online. So what that means for us is that you can run all of your trucking or brokerage transactions, your bills to your vendors, your invoices, and everything through the TMS, through Tailwind, and then have those transactions sync across to your QuickBooks for managing your financial statements. I also saw another question there about printing checks. Yes, you can print checks from QuickBooks Online, but also you print checks from within Tailwind, and those payments sync across to QuickBooks. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when you're doing your settlements out of Tailwind with your owner-operators or your vendors, your carriers, that sort of thing, all of those checks can be printed from within Tailwind and have those payments sync across to your ledger in QuickBooks Online.
And yeah, that's correct. There's no additional cost if you're a QuickBooks Online subscriber and a Tailwind subscriber already. There's nothing new to sign up for.
Another question here was, how difficult is it to learn QuickBooks Online?
QuickBooks is quite intuitive once you get going because it learns where you post things and it'll make suggestions for the same for next time. There's some videos and online learning materials. I also have a YouTube channel that you can access from my website that has how-to videos and things. And if you need some extra training, as I mentioned, I'm available to help with that.
I'm seeing quite a few questions about, Kerry, about the, for folks who are on QuickBooks Desktop and what it would look like to make a move to QuickBooks Online. Can you speak to that?
Definitely. All of the information that's in QuickBooks Desktop can be imported into a QuickBooks Online account, and that's definitely something that I can help with. So that's a relatively simple procedure, not too time-consuming at all. Now, I see there's somebody here who's making the comment you have 7 branches. That can be managed within QuickBooks if you just have the one Tailwind account, and there is a functionality within QuickBooks Plus to be able to report for those differently if all of the expenses are being recorded through QuickBooks. So if you want to find out some more about that, send me an email and we can have a chat about that. Oh, there. No, you don't need a QuickBooks for each branch unless you have a separate Tailwind for each branch. That would be the only time you would need that.
And of course, Tailwind supports multiple branches when you're at our pro level.
Yes. Must we have the Tailwind and QuickBooks Online matching exactly? The chart of accounts does have to be properly set up. Otherwise, you will not be able to do the syncing properly. So there's a lot of information, and Linda will be doing another webinar as well to make sure that people understand how to do that.
Well, and just to add to that, Kerry, it's not, if they aren't matching exactly, the sync setup will show you that you have unmatched accounts and help you identify the ones that you would still need to create. So for any of your accounts that you're running transactions on in Tailwind, you need to map those to the correct account in QuickBooks. So you would need to have a match for at least those accounts. You might have additional ledger accounts in QuickBooks that you don't show in your Tailwind, and there's no problem with that.
And as Jessie said, if you don't have the accounts in QuickBooks, then you just have to set them up so that you can match them.
We have a question there. How much is QuickBooks Online?
The Essentials plan is $35 a month, and the Plus plan is $50 a month.
What was the kind of bigger differences between those two?
If you're using the Plus plan, then you can do budgeting. You can have 5 users, not 3 users, and you can break down your reports via location or region, or there's just some extra reporting capabilities involved with the more expensive plan, with the Plus plan.
So somebody's asking about the chart of accounts and if there's a recommended list already prepared for the Tailwind and QuickBooks integration.
Yes, I do have one available, and if you signed up, I would just include that in the file that you receive. Would be already set up and ready to go.
And then my staff would be happy to help you on the Tailwind side with the matching.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asking, can they do payroll in QuickBooks?
Yes, you can. There are additional services available. It's an add-on to QuickBooks that enables you to prepare your payroll. So you'd still track your hours in Tailwind, then you'd record them in the QuickBooks Payroll module, where all the deductions would be calculated, the payroll would be directly deposited into your employees' accounts. There are different levels of service available, so find the level of service you need. If you just want to put in the hours, have a direct deposit into your employee's bank account, and pay the remittances and things yourself, that's sort of the first level, right up to the top level where basically QuickBooks just does everything for you, including all the year-end reporting and everything.
So somebody's asking, what is the cost for syncing Tailwind and QuickBooks Online?
If you have subscriptions to both, there is no additional cost. There are services available. Kerry provides some help, and if there are additional services, you might choose to get some help with setting it up or some consultation on that if you would like it. But I believe that all of the documentation that we provide, plus the regular support on the Tailwind side that's included in your Tailwind subscription, is enough for most folks. But if you need extra help, Kerry's always here and available at the discounted rate that she's giving preferred to Tailwind clients. Mm-hmm. But there is no cost on a subscription basis to have that sync activated.
And I don't know if QuickBooks support can help you with syncing information. If you are a QuickBooks Online client, then definitely there's support available. But when it comes to actually doing that transfer, that's something that I think you either need to do yourself or reach out and get some assistance with, and I can help with that as well. Just
to clarify the question that Kerry was asking there, someone had asked about, basically, I think, if I understood the question correctly, transferring your QuickBooks desktop file into a QuickBooks Online scenario, and that would be a good thing to check with Kerry on the procedure for that offline afterwards, because that's one of the great benefits we have with Kerry here, is that she can help us with those sorts of things.
Someone's asking about a manual or a demo how to match Tailwind to QuickBooks Online, and with that,
we actually have a video that's available on our support site, and I'd be happy to send that to you afterwards. Because I don't think we have quite enough time here, because there's quite a few questions supposed to get through, and I want to be respectful of folks' time. But what we'll do, I think actually possibly when Brad sends out the recording, we might be able to also send a link to that video that has the exact instructions, so you can see exactly how easy it is. And of course, you can call into our support department at any time or message them from within the Tailwind app. I know that some of you aren't yet using Tailwind, but just so you know, within Tailwind, we have in-app chat, and my staff are available during business hours to help you out with any of that sort of thing.
Now, I see a question here regarding syncing the invoices and payable bills to QuickBooks. If you've recorded them in Tailwind and you sync them across, then that's all that's necessary. You can then pay them out of QuickBooks, you can print your checks out of QuickBooks if you wish, and things won't be entwined.
Although our recommended practice is generally to pay them out of Tailwind, because then the payments sync across, because otherwise you can run into some issues with marking them paid in Tailwind, which is where people are usually managing their data flow there. In terms of the double entry, there's something interesting about how they go across. So there's no double entry unless you're manually double entering them. I see a great question here. Our dispatcher uses Tailwind to help manage the trucking side of the business. She has no accounting experience. By linking the two programs, Tailwind and QuickBook, how comfortable can I be with the information flowing into our accounting records? Well, that's a great question, and it's going to depend a little bit on your business process, but that's one of the beautiful things about working with Tailwind and QuickBooks. I'm not sure how you're doing it currently, but what happens there is if your dispatcher, she or he, is taking the orders in and forming the dispatches, putting together the bills for the vendors and the total charge out to your customer, those documents go over into our admin side of the Tailwind program automatically based on what she's entered there. You have the ability to assign her the permission to approve those for posting and payment, or to have that review required by yourself. That all depends on the security permissions you assign. So what I would recommend as a business process is initially monitoring that yourself, and then as you build that trust that those invoices are being created correctly, you turn that on. You can give her the permission to perform the sync, or you can go in and perform the sync at the times that are convenient for you, because the sync, again, is permission protected. So when you perform the sync, you can be doing a quick spot audit on those transactions before you sync them across.
And also, too, once you're in QuickBooks Online and you know that all the information coming in is correct, there are audit trails and reports, and if you're reconciling everything with your bank every month, then you can be really confident that everything you have there is accurate. So it kind of gives you that extra assurance that things are okay.
Cassandra, that's a great question. So if you do want to get set up with QuickBooks Online, the easiest way to do that is to just let us know if you already have Tailwind set up, and we can connect you up with Kerry. You can make your purchase via Kerry's site, or we actually have a special Tailwind site set up for you to set up your subscription, and we can do the charge through for you on that. And then Kerry, if you purchase it through that mechanism, Kerry will give you a file that's set up with the suggested chart of accounts.
But I noticed that you have a current desktop, so you'll need to be doing an import of data.
Oh, I'm sorry. I only read the first half of the question.
Yeah.
Good catch. So you guys can get in touch after.
Yeah. Reach out to me, Cassandra, either by email or give me a call, and I'll see what we can do for you there.
And somebody did ask here, if you're a QuickBooks desktop user, do you get the desktop or the online version for free?
I'm afraid not. Sorry, that's QuickBooks. If you would like to do the transfer, you need to subscribe to the service, and then you can transfer the desktop information into your online service.
And Kerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a one-way migration from desktop to online. It's not a data sync. It's not a different way of accessing your desktop information.
No.
It's in fact a new version of their software. And so if you were going to QuickBooks Online, you would migrate your desktop data into the online environment, and then you're operating entirely online and no longer utilizing desktop.
That's correct. Yes.
All right, looks like we have one last question here.
There's another question here.
No, that one.
It's the same one.
Oh,
so regarding the HST number branches, so if you have different HST numbers for your different branches on the Tailwind side, that can, I believe, be controlled on presenting it on the invoices. I'm not sure how that flows through to QuickBooks, so we might have to get back to you. If they have a different tax number for their different branches, will that all work in one QuickBooks file?
I'd have to look at that.
Yeah. We're going to have to look at that business case and see how it flows across. So we'll get back to you on that, okay?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good question.
Cheryl, you'll hear from me. You know me.
Somebody's asking if we have QuickBooks Online and Tailwind Online, how do we start syncing? So again, those will be, I'll make sure that we send that information within the email that goes out with the recording of this, webinar, and it'll be all detailed within there, Melissa.
And Melissa, if you want to get a head start on that, if in your Tailwind Online, just go ahead and open a chat, and one of my staff can direct you to it right away and help you get started there if you already have both of those subscriptions up. You could get started as soon as you log out of this webinar. If you're really ambitious, you could start that while you're in, but I'd love it if you pay attention to the last couple of questions.
And above, yes, now the ACH processing is available. It wasn't earlier. That might have been something you're aware of. It was purely only credit card payments before. So QuickBooks Online does allow for ACH payment processing.
All right, looks like the questions have slowed down a little bit here. I'll just see if anybody else has anything else.
I just wanted to add one more thing to the payroll conversation there, because of course, you know, your regular admin staff payroll and all of that you would do just in QuickBooks, because Tailwind doesn't get involved in deductions and salary and that sort of thing in terms of payroll. But where the integration comes in, well, where Tailwind supports the QuickBooks payroll options really well is that in our driver pay module, it can help you track hours or pay by mile and get your gross there that's based off of whatever the tracking parameters are, and then you can then feed that gross into the payroll process in there. I just wanted to mention that. It does not sync across because Tailwind wants to leave the jurisdictional issues with payroll to the experts.
That's a great clarification. Thanks so much. So if you're wanting to sign up for QuickBooks Online, you can go to the myquickbookkeeping.com Tailwind site, a note that's right there, and we'll be in touch with you straight away with a file that has chart of accounts and everything in it.
Well, somebody just wants to go back to the slide that differentiates QuickBooks and Tailwind, and I'll see if I can do that quickly here. And Jesse,
what sort of questions do you have, Natalia?
Oh, we're going back.
Natalia, we can see your question where you've typed now, so if you have another one there, you can throw it. If it's a Tailwind question, I can reach out to you after.
And I can reach out to you if it's a QuickBooks question, so just let us know what you need.
Oh, Bob, so Bob has a great question. If you're already a QuickBooks subscriber, can we still get the chart of account file sent to us? We'd love to do that for you, Bob, and the easiest way for us to do that, we'll reach out to you afterwards, but we can, if we transfer you over and put Kerry as a consulting accountant on yours, we'd be able to do that. And so Kerry can reach out to you afterwards with how we would go about that.
Great question, Natalia. I was wondering if there's QuickBooks in Spanish. I was in Peru using QuickBooks with people in Peru, and we were doing it in English, and it was really interesting. Ingres, my Spanish is so bad. I think there may be a version coming out of Mexico right now. I've been sticking with the Canadian and U.S. ones because I know it's built for the Canadian and U.S. taxes and the system's there. And most of what I've been doing has been in Canada and U.S., but I think there may be a Spanish version coming. I hope so, because I have more friends in Peru I want to use it with.
Okay, so I think we're just about wrapped up with the questions there. And so I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this morning. If you do have more questions, you can email them or call Kerry with them, and I'll just get back to the slide there with that contact information.
I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, there's a free consultation if you just want to find out if it's a good idea for you. You can sign up for that as well.
And then you can also contact us here at Tailwind through the Tailwind application by phone or by email. Just to let you know, there's going to, after the presentation, we'll receive a 3-question survey, really quick and easy, and it will help us make future webinars even better. So if you can take the 15 seconds and provide us with that feedback, that would be most appreciated. And other than that, we wish you a great rest of your day and great rest of your week. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, guys.